Hey everyone, so I tried to make a short about this, but I kinda failed. I mean, when it comes to talking about Batman, I can literally ramble for hours in a profanity-laced ADHD rant about how he's the greatest hero ever. But a few days ago, I made a video talking about 5 times that Batman was a villain in 60 seconds. And this viewer right here, Rythan Hemphill, hit me with a super thanks asking me to do the opposite. And no pun intended, the short I made in reply just feels kind of short. So today, I'm gonna take less than 5 minutes to talk about 5 moments that Batman was truly the hero that we deserve. Cause number 5 on my list goes to the moment that Jack Drake dies during Identity Crisis. When he gets murdered, it was out of left field, so the reaction was always, okay, what is Batman gonna do about this? Batman is not a feels person, and he would describe himself as someone who sees the wound and not the individual. So when his Robin, Tim Drake, becomes an orphan at the hands of Captain Boomerang, it's one of the few times that we see Batman get angry for the sake of another, going as far as to approach Wally West while he was at work to confront him about said murder. Number 4 has to be the moment with Ace in Justice League. The stoic Batman of our youth usually shows little compassion, especially not to Leaguers and certainly not to Amanda Waller. So when we see Batman speak with Ace and talk about how he has zero intentions of killing her and just plans to stay with her until she passes, it reveals a part of the Dark Knight that we never knew existed. We always know that when Batman is left alone, he tends to make the right decision, but this one just made me feel so much more emotional than usual. Because when a child that's been taken advantage of her entire life looks at Batman with tears in her eyes and asks him to stay with her until she dies, it's a moment in Justice League Unlimited that still makes me cry till this day. And if you have not watched the episode Epilogue, you need to, because it's the one episode of Justice League that shows that Batman cares so deeply about every single person around him, whether you're a villain or you're Superman. As for number 3, it has to come from The Dark Knight Returns. In this book, Batman represents the flickering flame of rebellion, because when Gotham City falls victim to an EMP and chaos takes over the streets, he inspires the city to fight back and clean up their own streets. And the speech that he gives on horseback will give anybody hope. Number 2, well, that has to go to Detective Comics number 38, the very first appearance of Dick Grayson as Robin. Batman was a solo act before Dick Grayson became his first and most trusted Robin. And the thought of the Dark Knight adopting a child and bringing him along in his crusade at the time was absurd. But as years passed, it proved to be the greatest decision that he would have ever made, as Nightwing is one of the greatest heroes of all time as well. Adopting him into his care was dangerous, but helping Dick Grayson hone his anger and become a proper gentleman was one of the most selfless moves Batman has ever made in his entire career of crime fighting. Because helping him also meant helping the little boy who had nobody in Crime Alley that night. As for the 2 honorable mentions, the first has to be Batman giving Grundy Thanksgiving dinner during the long Halloween. I mean, how could that not make the list? And the second honorable mention has to go to the infamous Am I Blue scene from Justice League Unlimited, where the late great Kevin Conroy showed every single one of us that Batman would let his guard down and belt out some beautiful music to save his friend. Now, as for my number 1 moment where Batman was truly a hero, it has to go to Batman War on Crime. This story by Paul Dini and Alex Ross not only has some patented, beautiful Alex Ross art, but it's also a story that follows Batman trying to stop a young boy named Marcus from falling down the wrong path after experiencing the same exact tragedy he once did. It's such a visceral story because the central theme is Batman acknowledging that there are things in his crusade that are just out of his control, but at the same time, it's him also reflecting on his mission and taking solace in those little wins, like changing the trajectory of one innocent child. Batman War on Crime is a title that I read every now and then when I just need to be reminded of the spirit of Batman, and it's definitely one that you should check out, because this book is one that will make you feel like Batman is truly the symbol of hope. And those are my top 5 heroic moments from Batman. I tried to avoid moments like when he makes the ultimate sacrifice, because honestly, when he does things like that, they aren't really out of character. Most of the time, you expect Batman to make the ultimate sacrifice and then Superman saves him. Batman's true heroics will always lie in helping the individual. Because like I said earlier, the message of the book Batman War on Crime is Batman acknowledging that there are some wars that are just not winnable. But the one thing that Batman holds on to is the fact that he knows that you can change the hearts and minds of these individuals. Because if there's one character across all mediums of comic books that understands that sometimes good people do bad things, it's Batman. And look, I hope that you agree with my 5 moments. If they differ from yours, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. And if you agree with me and you want to see more of these types of videos, be sure to subscribe. And I'll catch y'all later. Cheers.